Have you ever looked at a photo of yourself and felt that instant sense of disappointment? That jarring disconnect between how you imagined you looked and what you see staring back at you? I know that feeling intimately. The way your heart sinks, how your confidence suddenly evaporates, how you frantically ask yourself, do I really look like that? If you're nodding right now, I need you to understand something crucial. This isn't just about vanity or bad angles. What if I told you that your dissatisfaction with photos is actually a profound spiritual message that your soul has been trying to communicate to you for years? What if this seemingly trivial frustration is actually one of the most important spiritual wake-up calls you'll ever receive? I'm Maya Serafina, and before I share the deeper truth that transformed thousands of lives, including my own, let me offer you immediate relief. The reason you don't like how you look in photos is because your soul recognizes the flat, frozen distortion of your true energetic essence. Your disappointment isn't shallow. It's your soul's wisdom recognizing that something vital is missing. And I promise, by the end of our time together, you'll never see your photos or yourself the same way again. 15 years ago, I was standing in my apartment in Sedona, surrounded by photographs I'd just received from what was supposed to be a beautiful spiritual retreat. As the Arizona sun streamed through my windows, I stared at these images of myself, feeling devastated. Despite the profound spiritual experiences I'd had that weekend, despite how alive and radiant I had felt in those moments, the person in those photos looked disconnected, flat, even sad. I remember thinking, this can't be me. This isn't how I felt. This isn't who I am. That disconnect triggered something that would eventually lead me to the discovery I'm about to share with you. Most people never question why they dislike their photos. They blame the camera, their appearance, the lighting, the angle, but those explanations never satisfied me. I kept asking deeper questions, and what I discovered changed everything, not just about how I view photographs, but about how I understand the human soul's journey on Earth. The universe doesn't make mistakes. Your discomfort with photographs isn't random or meaningless. It's a divine invitation to deeper awareness. When we look at ourselves in photos and feel that immediate disconnect, we're experiencing a profound spiritual truth. Static images cannot capture our essence because we are not static beings. We are not objects. We are processes. We are not things. We are becoming. The photograph tries to freeze something that was never meant to be frozen, and your soul knows it. Think about water. Water flowing in a river is vibrant, dynamic, alive with movement and possibility. But what happens when you freeze water? It becomes rigid, unchanging, unable to flow with its environment. This is what happens in photographs. They attempt to freeze the flowing river of your being into a single moment, a single expression. And just as frozen water cannot fulfill its natural purpose of flowing, a frozen image of you cannot express your true spiritual nature. When you look at a photo and think, that's not me, you're actually having a moment of profound spiritual clarity. Because you're right, that's not you. The real you is fluid consciousness, ever-changing energy, constant growth and transformation. The real you is the awareness behind the eyes, not just the eyes themselves. The camera can capture your physical form, but it cannot capture your consciousness, your soul's vibration, the energy field that makes you uniquely you. I remember working with Sarah, a woman who came to one of my first workshops in Sedona. She was successful, accomplished, objectively beautiful by any standard, yet she avoided cameras at all costs. I've never taken a good picture in my life, she told me, her voice heavy with a shame that seemed far deeper than simple vanity. As we explored this together, Sarah revealed that her aversion to photos had started in childhood, when her parents would criticize her appearance in family pictures. Smile properly, they'd say. Stand up straight. And why do you always have to look so serious? What Sarah didn't realize was that her soul was registering a profound truth even as a child. In those forced family photos, she wasn't being seen for who she truly was. She was being asked to perform, to become an object for others' approval, rather than a subject in her own right. Her discomfort with photos wasn't a flaw. It was her soul's wisdom refusing to be reduced to a performance, refusing to be defined by others' expectations. The camera lens creates a fundamental distortion of reality. It flattens the three-dimensional into the two-dimensional. It reduces the dynamic to the static. It translates energy into form. And in that translation, something essential is lost. When light photons bounce off your physical form and into a camera lens, they cannot carry with them your thoughts, your feelings, your hopes, your dreams, all the invisible dimensions that make you who you truly are. This is why ancient spiritual traditions have often been suspicious of images. Many indigenous cultures believed that photographs could steal a person's soul, and while we might dismiss this as superstition, There's a profound truth here. The photograph doesn't steal your soul, but it does create the illusion that you can be captured, contained, defined. It presents a version of you that exists without your animating consciousness, your living breath. And on some deep level, this violates our spiritual understanding of ourselves as boundless beings. I want you to close your eyes for a moment and imagine yourself at your most alive, perhaps dancing, laughing with friends, immersed in creative work, or simply being fully present in a moment of joy. Feel the energy moving through your body, the light in your eyes, the subtle shifts in your expression, the warmth in your voice. This living, breathing, constantly changing experience of yourself is your true nature. Now imagine trying to capture all of that in a single frozen moment. It's impossible, isn't it? This impossibility isn't a failure. It's a doorway to understanding something profound about who you really are. Modern society has created a painful paradox for us. We live in the most image-saturated time in human history, constantly surrounded by photographs, constantly taking photographs, constantly being photographed. Social media platforms have turned self-image into currency, and yet this abundance of images hasn't made us more comfortable with how we look. It's made us less comfortable. Studies show that the more selfies people take, the more critical they become of their appearance. The more we try to capture ourselves, the more elusive our true selves seem to become. This isn't coincidental. The universe is trying to tell us something essential. You cannot be captured. You cannot be contained. You are not an object to be frozen in time. You are a process, unfolding in every moment. Your disappointment with photographs isn't a sign that there's something wrong with your appearance. It's a sign that your soul recognizes it cannot be reduced to appearance alone. When I realized this truth, it liberated me in ways I never expected. I stopped trying to look good in photos and instead began to see photographs as what they truly are. Not representations of my true self, but artifacts of light interacting with form in a specific moment. They are no more me than my shadow on the ground or my reflection in water. They are traces, echoes, but they are not my essence. This doesn't mean we should avoid photographs altogether. Rather, it means we need to transform our relationship with them. Instead of seeing them as definitive statements about who we are, we can see them as interesting but limited perspectives, snapshots of our physical form in a particular moment, nothing more and nothing less. I've worked with thousands of people over the years, helping them heal their relationship with their image. One pattern I've noticed consistently is that those who feel most uncomfortable with photographs often have the most powerful energy fields, the strongest spiritual sensitivities. It's as if their souls are so vibrant, so multidimensional, that the flattening effect of photography creates an even greater disconnect. If this describes you, consider that your discomfort might actually be a sign of your spiritual depth, not a personal failing. Think about the most spiritually evolved people you know or have heard of. Do they obsess over how they look in photographs? Are they constantly taking selfies, constantly seeking the perfect angle? Or do they seem somewhat detached from their image, more focused on being present, on connecting, on the energy they're bringing to each moment? This detachment isn't indifference. It's freedom. The freedom that comes from knowing you are not your image. The ancient wisdom traditions all point to this truth in different ways. Buddhism teaches that attachment to form, including our own form, creates suffering. The Tao Te Ching reminds us that the Tao that can be named is not the eternal Tao, suggesting that anything that can be fully captured or defined is not the deepest truth. The mystical branches of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam all emphasize that God, and the divine spark within each of us, cannot be contained in images. These traditions understood something fundamental. The most sacred aspects of existence cannot be reduced to what is visible to the eye or capturable by technology. Let me share a transformative practice that has helped many of my clients heal their relationship with photographs. The next time you see a photo of yourself that triggers that familiar sense of disappointment or discomfort, don't immediately reject it or criticize yourself. Instead, take a deep breath and say, "This is a limited perspective on my physical form in a single moment. It does not contain my consciousness, my energy, my spirit, or my soul. It is not a complete representation of who I am." Then, close your eyes and reconnect with your felt sense of yourself. The awareness looking out through your eyes, the energy moving through your body, the thoughts flowing through your mind, the emotions living in your heart. This is who you truly are. Not the frozen image on the screen or paper, but this living, breathing, conscious being having this experience right now. Over time, this practice creates a profound shift. You begin to see photographs not as threatening judgments about your worth or beauty, but simply as interesting artifacts, like footprints in sand that show where you've been but say nothing about where you're going or who you truly are. One of my clients, Michael, struggled with social anxiety that was deeply connected to how he appeared in photographs. A talented musician, he avoided publicity photos and even turned down opportunities because they would require him to be photographed. When we explored the spiritual dimension of his discomfort, he had a profound realization. The photos make me anxious because they reduce me to how I look, when my whole life has been about sound, about what can't be seen but can be felt. His insight was powerful. His soul knew that his essence was about vibration, rhythm, harmony, qualities that simply cannot be captured visually. We worked together to help him see photographs as just one limited perspective, not a definitive statement about his worth or identity. Gradually, he developed a healthier relationship with images. He didn't suddenly start loving every photo of himself, but he stopped giving them so much power over his sense of self. The last time we spoke, he had just completed his first professional photo shoot for an upcoming album and described the experience as actually kind of fun. Once I stopped expecting the impossible. The spiritual evolution I'm describing isn't about becoming more photogenic. It's about becoming more free from the tyranny of images, free from the need to appear a certain way, free to be fully present in each moment without worrying about how that moment might be captured or perceived by others. This freedom is your birthright. You were born into this world as pure consciousness, pure potential, completely unconcerned with how you appeared to others. Watch any baby or young child before they've been conditioned by society's expectations. They aren't posing or hiding or trying to look a certain way. They're simply being fully expressed in each moment, radiating their essence without self-consciousness. Your discomfort with photographs isn't regressive. It's actually pointing you toward this original freedom. It's your soul's way of saying, I am more than this. I cannot be reduced to an image. I am alive. I am becoming. I am in process. The universe operates through polarities. Light and dark, expansion and contraction, visible and invisible. Photographs capture only what is visible, what can be seen with the physical eye. But the most important aspects of who you are exist in the invisible realm. Your consciousness, your intentions, your capacity for love, your unique perspective on life. When you feel that disconnect looking at photos of yourself, you're registering this fundamental truth. The most essential parts of you cannot be photographed. I remember working with Elena, a woman in her 60s who had avoided cameras her entire adult life. As we explored her discomfort with photographs, she shared a profound insight. In photos, I look like my mother, and my mother was deeply unhappy, but I've done so much work to heal what she couldn't heal, to live differently than she lived. When I see myself in photos looking like her, it feels like all that inner work is invisible. Elena's discomfort wasn't vanity. It was her soul's recognition that the most important transformations in her life were internal, energetic, invisible to the camera's eye. Together, we developed a practice for Elena. Whenever she saw a photo of herself that triggered that old discomfort, she would place her hand on her heart and silently acknowledge all the inner work she had done, all the ways she had grown that could never be captured in an image. This simple ritual helped her reclaim her sense of self from the limiting perspective of the photograph. The camera may see my mother, she told me later, but I know who I really am. What if we could extend this understanding not just to photographs of ourselves, but to all the ways we've been conditioned to reduce ourselves to appearances? Our culture bombards us with messages that our worth is tied to how we look, not just in photographs, but in every aspect of life. We're encouraged to cultivate our personal brand, to curate our online presence, to be constantly concerned with how we appear to others. But all of this pulls us away from our true nature, from the depth and richness of being fully present in each unfolding moment. The spiritual invitation in your discomfort with photographs is to reclaim your wholeness, to remember that you are not an object to be viewed, but a subject having an experience. You are not here to be seen, you are here to see. You are not here to be known, you are here to know. You are not here to be judged, you are here to witness. This shift in perspective changes everything. When you truly understand that you cannot be reduced to an image, you begin to live differently. You become less concerned with how things appear and more interested in how they feel. You stop performing for an imaginary audience and start experiencing your life directly. You release the exhausting effort of trying to control how others perceive you and discover the freedom of simply being yourself. This doesn't mean you never take photos again, or that you should never care how you look. The physical realm matters. We are spiritual beings having a human experience after all. But it does mean that you hold photographs more lightly, seeing them as partial truths rather than definitive statements. It means you reclaim your power from the image, remembering that you are always more than what can be captured. I've found that people who make this shift often report a surprising side effect. They actually start to like their photographs more. Not because they suddenly become more photogenic in conventional terms, but because they stop expecting photographs to do something they simply cannot do. They stop expecting a two-dimensional image to capture their multi-dimensional essence. And in releasing that impossible expectation, they free themselves to simply appreciate photographs for what they are, interesting artifacts of light and form in a particular moment, nothing more and nothing less. The spiritual journey is always about integration, bringing together the visible and invisible aspects of our being, honoring both the form and the formless. Photographs capture form, but your essence includes both form and formless. When you understand this, you can appreciate the photograph for what it shows while honoring all that it cannot show. This is the path to peace with your image. I want to share one final story that illustrates the profound freedom that comes with this understanding. Rachel came to one of my workshops in deep distress about her appearance in photographs. As a mother of 3 young children, she wanted to be present in family photos, but found herself hiding from the camera or picking apart her appearance in every image. "I want my kids to have photos with their mom," she told me, "but I hate how I look in every single picture." As we worked together, Rachel realized that her fixation on her appearance in photos was actually disconnecting her from the very moments she was trying to preserve. She was so concerned with how she would appear in the image that she wasn't fully present in the experience itself. This insight hit her like a revelation. I've been sacrificing real moments for the sake of images of moments. Rachel decided to experiment with a completely different approach. The next time her family gathered for a celebration, she focused entirely on being present, feeling the sun on her face, listening to her children's laughter, enjoying the connection with loved ones. When someone took out a camera, she didn't pose or try to look a certain way. She simply continued being fully present in the moment. When she saw the photographs later, something remarkable had happened. For the first time in years, she didn't immediately criticize her appearance. Not because she suddenly looked different according to conventional standards, but because she could see in her eyes, in her posture, in her relaxed smile, that she had been truly present. The photographs captured not just her form, but a trace of her authentic presence. "I can feel the difference," she told me. "I can see that I was really there." This is the gift that awaits you on the other side of making peace with photographs. Not perfectly photogenic images according to some external standard, but images that reflect your authentic presence, your alignment with your true self. And much more importantly, a life lived not for the camera, but for the experience itself, rich, immediate, fully felt in each unfolding moment. Your discomfort with photographs has never been the problem. It's been the doorway. A doorway to a deeper understanding of who you truly are. A doorway to freedom from the tyranny of appearances. A doorway to a more authentic way of being in the world. When you walk through this doorway, you discover that the spiritual meaning of not liking how you look in photos is one of the most beautiful gifts the universe has given you. An invitation to remember your true nature beyond all images, beyond all forms, beyond all appearances. So the next time you feel that familiar twinge of discomfort looking at a photograph of yourself, pause and remember, this discomfort is not your enemy. It's not a sign that there's something wrong with you. It's your soul's wisdom reminding you of a profound truth, that you are more than what any image can capture, more than what any eye can see, more alive and more beautiful in your becoming than any frozen moment could possibly convey. You are not a photograph. You are not an image. You are not an object to be seen. You are consciousness experiencing itself. You are energy in motion. You are spirit embodied. You are life unfolding. And nothing, no camera, no technology, no image, can ever fully capture the miracle of who you truly are.